In this video, we're going to look at using the EQP-1A and the Fairchild 670 on a drum bus to sweeten up a drum sound that is already sounding not bad on its own. Here's a little before and after. Now, each of the drum tracks already has some processing on it, so it sounds pretty good already. And with it, all right, so let's look at what's going on. Now, the EQP-1A is renowned for boosting and cutting at the same frequencies in order to give a nice, smooth boost where you want. So I'm doing that in both the low and high end. One of my main goals here is I want to bring out the ride cymbal. It's kind of buried a little bit in the mix. So I'm starting up high here. These three controls are the high band, and I have it set to 8. And in this case, it's mimicking the graphics on the original unit, KCS, which stands for kilocycles per second. We think of kilohertz, but that's the original acronym. So I'm boosting at around 8 with this bandwidth, and I'm boosting a lot by about 8.5 dB. And then here I'm attenuating based on this selected range of 10, and it's a different slope. So I'm boosting here at 8 and then attenuating at 10, and the way the two interact together gives a nice boost up high. A little too strident on its own. Now, same thing with the low end. I have it set to 60 to tighten up the kick drum. And again, I'm boosting here and then cutting by almost the same amount, but it just smooths out and tightens up the EQ on the low end. So I'm going to play it for you and I'll bypass this in and out. And the difference between bypassing here and here is that when we click this, it's still passing through the circuitry. So both the kick and the high end are a lot more focused. Now I'm using the Fairchild 670 tube limiter. Each of the individual channels has a bit of compression on it already. It sounds pretty natural. And I want this to just add a little more polish and glue to the final mix. So here's a little before. And after. So let's look at what's going on. I have it working in stereo mode. This is set to left-right rather than lateral and vertical, which means mid-side. And in stereo mode, I have it linked here, so we're in a stereo mode rather than a dual mono mode. So the controls are going to operate on left and right and be adjusted together. So I have the input gain set here to a relatively conservative level. We also have this Headroom screw control, which adjust the internal operating reference level. So basically how much is being fed in to the input stage. So we can control how much distortion and aggressive quality we want from this plugin by controlling the amount being fed in with this. So it's compressing a lot harder there. And similarly, we have a balance control here, which controls the bias current balance. And we can monitor the input and output here. So I'll monitor the input and you'll see the difference with the HR, the Headroom control. So it's being triggered a lot more aggressively that way. And of course, we can monitor the output as well. So the input gain kind of interacts with that. I have it set so it's just triggering a little bit. I'm not looking for anything dramatic here, just a bit of gentle sweetening. And again, the left and right are linked by virtue of the controls being linked here. We have the threshold control, and I'm going fairly aggressive on that, but it's the time constant control that really gives this plugin its personality and character. Basically, the lower we are here, the quicker the attack and release time. They're very quick here, and as we dial it up, they get slower, and 5 and 6 are program dependent. And we have a sidechain filter here that allows us to filter out the low end, triggering the compressor. So in this case, with a drum kit, it's nice to have the kick drum not influence it as much. When this is all the way down, we'll hear the kick drum triggered more. For example, let me put the mix up. There's a parallel blend knob. So you can hear the kick drum get through more like that. I like it around there, and we can snap back and forth with this. So it's just tightening it up nicely, and I want not all of it in. I'll just dial up as much as I want. Somewhere around there.